Hey YouTube, this is Cayem Interviews and I'm your host Tim Cayem, and today we are going to be talking about the time I got to tour with Pierce the Veil. So as I'm sure a lot of you know, I just did a video on how I toured with Knocked Loose. That video can be seen right here. I'll link that for you all. Also, guys, just make sure to subscribe and like the video, comment, show some love. That really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps other people see my content. Just a little plug for myself. Anyway, so I did that video about Knocked Loose and how I got to tour with them, and I thought it'd be an interesting take for people to understand how I got to tour with the band Pierce the Veil as well. So the year was 2017, and Pierce the Veil had just dropped the Misadventures album. They were heading out with bands Sum 41 as direct support, Emarosa, and Chapel. And this was a really cool tour. I mean, Pierce the Veil was hitting a lot of these huge venues, iconic venues around the entire country. So a lot of House of Blues venues, a lot of big, larger venues within the entire US. And I was super stoked. I mean, I've been a Pierce the Veil fan for quite some time. And although I will just let you know, spoiler alert, I did not end up touring for Pierce the Veil, but I did get to tour with Pierce the Veil. And I'll kind of describe what the difference is in this video. So sometimes bands hire a photographer to go with them. And that wasn't me for Pierce the Veil. They had another dude with them. But I got to tour with one of the bands on the bill, which was really awesome. And it's a really smart way to get your foot in the door with not only maybe a larger band like Pierce the Veil, or just having a great reputation for some opening bands and getting work with them. Chapel's a two-piece sort of pop electro outfit from Athens or Atlanta, Georgia. Carter Hardin was the vocalist of a metalcore band called Nightmares for quite a while, and Courtney Grinwis was a friend of mine sort of through the Twitter world and YouTube world. She's a very well-known drummer. She rips it. I'll link to her channel here as well. So yeah, I was like super stoked to try to ask them if I could tour with them, because I wasn't asking for anything crazy. I wasn't asking for a huge budget. I just wanted to get some experience and tour with a band that was on tour with Pierce the Veil. And situations like this are kind of a win-win. Like, the band doesn't have to pay a bunch for a photographer. The photographer gets some touring experience, gets to shoot some bigger bands, some smaller bands, maybe make some side cash with promos, etc. So it was just kind of a win-win for all of us, and they said yes. So I told the band that I just wanted to shoot for per diems only. I wasn't asking for like a daily or weekly rate. I was just asking for whatever the band gets for food each day, that would be kicked my way so that I can at least eat and sustain myself on tour. So put it this way, they weren't paying for my services or anything like that. They weren't paying me as a photographer, but they were paying me to live, and that was awesome. Also, I get free travel, of course, and access to the entire venue and the rider and all that, which was super fun. And a lot of times that actually helps sustain me for eating throughout the day. If you guys don't know what a rider is simply a list of food that the band submits to the venue, and the venue's runner will go out and get that food. Sometimes not, but they'll go out and try to best accommodate that list and then give that to the band so that they can have some fun, interesting, tasty food that the band loves in their green room before the show. Sometimes that's Gatorade, sometimes it's Pedialyte, sometimes it's vodka, Jameson, fruit, hummus, pita chips, stuff like that. So I was living off fruit and pita chips and Smart Water for quite some time, and that was really cool, and I had a great time doing it. So one of the ways that I got to shoot for Pierce the Veil and with Pierce the Veil was just using my credentials that I had throughout the tour. Pierce the Veil, I will say, is such an amazing band, and they're so hospitable to the people that tour with them. The first day of the tour in Denver, Colorado, Vic Fuentes came up to our Mercedes Sprinter and made it a point to let us know he was stoked we were on the tour and that he loved Chapel's music and wanted to get to know them throughout the tour. So I thought that was really, really cool. A lot of bands don't do that, especially on day one, as they're probably nervous themselves as they're getting the kinks ready and trying to understand how their lighting and equipment work for production. So I thought that really showed a lot from Vic's perspective to like make some time out of his day to say hi to us, especially on the first day. So I thought that was good effort. And obviously I have an all access pass because I'm on the tour. So I got to really know their production and their crew. And it was really fun to get to like have a better understanding of who runs their operation and how that kind of works. A band like Pierce the Veil has hundreds of thousands of dollars coming into their operation every night. So it's really, really cool to kind of get to see how that is on a huge scale, especially working with these massive venues and promoters throughout the country. I was just trying to be a sponge throughout this entire thing. Like, I was really trying to just take everything in and get to know anyone I could. So it was really, really fun and very, very insightful as a photographer to see how things are run with a band that was at the top of our scene, you know, Pierce the Veil. So whether that was trying to have a couple quick conversations with their tour manager or even the band themselves, it was just really fun to just kind of let loose, while also working my ass off and trying to really prove that I'm a great photographer in this scene. So after the 2 weeks was up for me, I went up to Mike and I went up to Tony and I went up to Jaime and I went up to Vic, and I just basically let them know that I had a blast shooting them, and that if they ever needed me in the future, that, you know, here was my Dropbox and I would love for them to post any photos that they liked that I took on the tour. And that was totally up to them and free of charge. So yeah, Vic took me up on it, and Vic was super stoked on the photos, you know, complimented my photos, and that was really cool. Shot me his email, and that was awesome to kind of have a connection with the guy. And, you know, to this day, every time I see him, he kind of recognizes me, and that's awesome. And we have a little small talk. So it's been really cool to kind of establish that connection with a bigger band and such a talented frontman like Vic Fuentes. So yeah, so Vic posted a couple of my photos, tagged me and whatnot, gained a ton of followers because obviously people love the band Pierce the Veil and love who photographs them. So it was really, really cool to get that kind of like insight as to how photographers shooting Pierce the Veil, you know, what kind of traction they get, I guess, from the fan base. So yeah, I definitely suggest you guys check out Chapel. They're still making music to this day. They're killing it. Love their stuff. Carter and Courtney are a very talented duo, as well as their crew. Shout out to Clayton. Shout out Kurt. And shout out Parker. You know, had a blast touring with you guys. And the tour was super fun. I definitely think that you guys would have a lot more perspective on the music industry if you guys went out there and dipped your toes in a tour that size, especially even, you know, if it's with the opening band. I really think that that gives you a great perspective on what you can expect touring with a band that level like Pierce the Veil. So guys, let me know, if you could tour with any band in the entire world for 2 weeks, who would it be? Would it be Slipknot? That's a huge band for me. Or Korn or Limp Bizkit, Insane Clown Posse, something crazy like that. Who would you want to tour with and why? Let me know who you'd want to tour with. Put that in the comments below. Connect with me on social media. All of that, links in the description below. As always, this is Cayem Interviews. Peace out.